On this episode of Law Weekly, we look at the frequency with which buildings collapse in the country and the gap between government policies and enforcement of same. We have the views of a former land law teacher and senior lawyer, Mr. Gbenga Ojo. Also showing on the program, the industrial strike action embarked on by the judicial workers in Abia State is likely to be called off soon as the governor swears in the substantive chief judge of the state, Justice Liliana Bai, plus our weekly recap of the top trending stories from the courtroom. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Shola Shieli. The incessant building collapse in the country appears to have defied all solutions put in place by the government. Why is this so, and why is there a gap between policies and enforcement? This was the first question I put to my guest, Mr. Gbenga Ojo.
In terms of legislation, we have adequate legislation on buildings, land, general. In fact, if there's any area of our life that is heavily regulated, this land, heavily, too many laws govern the whole thing. Despite that, you see have gap. Even on ownership of land, despite the land use act, land grabbers law, everybody is still fighting about land every day. It defies solution. The same thing now applies to this collapse of building. It's not a question of insufficiency of law. It's not a question of manpower. Lagos State in particular has different bodies handling licensing, town planning, everything adequate with manpower. But the gap is implementation. Human. The gap is human factor. No two ways to hit. The laws cannot enforce itself. Human beings are employed to enforce the law. The bottom line, speaking frankly, corruption. Everything in Nigeria, politics, judiciary, everything boils down on corruption. The man who is to enforce the law will turn, yes, and you see that they are contravening the law. He won't do that for free. He will not. Something must have happened. And then the problem in Nigeria, across the board, punishments. Deterrence factor is lacking. Property in Lagos here collapses today, tomorrow, the man in charge, nobody is sacked, nobody is punished. It becomes our way of life. The engineers in charge go scot-free. The man who is supposed to enforce the law goes scot-free. The bottom line, deterrence factor is lacking in terms of punishment. But stops on somebody's table. If this thing happens, that person must, no two ways, he must go. Not only him, everybody in that team. I think they will be more responsive in their operations. Those in town planning, those in LabScar. If we see a small shop, we are putting small shop, they will come, they put, while you are announcing skyscrapers. I mean, without anybody asking you this, you must go there and ask. Even if you don't have anything. You see something coming 5, 6, 7 story, and you are walking by every day and never stop one day. Stop order. Yes, bring your documents. It means money has exchange hands. No two ways to it. They cannot, but bottom line is somebody must be punished.
Staying with that issue that you've mentioned about corruption, one factor that some stakeholders in the legal and building industries have alluded to is that the recent growth in the real estate market in Nigeria is fueled by corrupt money, and that most investors are not interested in quality and standards, but in how to launder their loot. And I think that this backs up the point that you just made now.
That is hitting the nail on the head, that observation. Then again, that now takes us to the role of EFCC, maybe ICPC. You can excuse the police. EFCC is talking that illegal money hidden under real estate. It's not about talk. Let us see the result. Let us see action. You see from VI to Ekpe, each time I pass that Monda, people virtually build on the ocean. Where are they working? Is it not this country that everybody is working? Can't anybody ask EFCC? It's not about arresting politicians and Yahoo guys and all these stuff. Take the searchlight to real estate. You'll be shocked by the people behind the scam. Any money they take in politics, banking industry is now a bit tight. BVN will expose it. You can't afford to keep money at home, 50-50. They get to know Amrabas come, everybody come knocking. Money can't go into the bank. Money must be somewhere. You can't take the money overseas. It's more stricter there. Where do we hide the money? Real estate. Real estate. You can see property. They may not even get tenants for the next 5, 6, 7. They are just building. They are just building. I wonder, okay, don't you want return on investments? Why are you building like 50 houses, duplexes everywhere? No tenants. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, no tenants. And no, something is wrong. EFCC is to come in. The chairman is doing good job. He mentioned that recently. But they've not seen the activities. Apart from raising alarm now, so to speak, by the chairman of the EFCC, they must go beyond that. Yeah, what do you mean? You see 50 buildings, no tenants, nothing. If they need to set up a unit in EFCC for that purpose alone, it's okay. I mean, get an expert in real estate to go after all these people. Leave out those who are investigating crime, corruption, on that scale. Get somebody who's an expert in real estate to go in, quantity surveyors. Even at the level of the FCC, they can get to know that the standard was not met. EFCC can at that point arrest the person and the military people. Not even when the building collapsed. The building is still there, and the EFCC, with the expert, finds that this thing is not up to standard. It's corruption. The EFCC can come in here, arrest the engineers, arrest people from ministry, all stakeholders, take them to the offices and put them under interrogation. Once they get 1, 2, 3 conviction, I'm sure everybody will start. You want to chop your money in a good environment, not that you have building and you are in jail. Nobody wants to be in jail while the building is languishing. That would be. But no, so far, I've not even heard that anybody has been arrested.
But what about the regulators? Shouldn't they be concerned about this menace of collapsed building, the frequency, and then shouldn't they just sometimes, go to the sites and ask questions and look at the integrity of the buildings? Shouldn't they be more proactive?
If you want them to do that, then there should be a legislation to that effect. And of course, there must be pay. Nobody will leave the office to be checking whether building is, it won't do that. Unless there is, in the large-scale regulation, yeah, they can give that body responsibilities, do this, and then give them offices. They are now going to work independent of civil servants, because the whole problem was on civil servants. This body of professionals, they will assist the government. Yes, they can come with their report and deal directly with the office of the governor. They can initiate a private bill in the Lagos State Assembly, or any assembly for that matter, for them to have a role. Legal rule. See, if you are doing that, out of your own concern. And Nigeria, who cares about your own concern? Who cares about the building collapses? When they are still in the morning building, nobody gives you 1 naira. You will now leave your job undone. You will be going to say, I love Nigeria, I love Lagos State. Is this? No. So there should be a role for them by legislation. And it then becomes statutory. Then they are bound to do so. And then they report to the office of either chief of staff or to the office of the governor.
Now, one other issue that is generating a lot of controversy is this law that the Lagos State government has put in place that enables it to take over any property on which a building has collapsed. Some people see it as a proper step to deter unscrupulous developers, but others say that it doesn't put into consideration the interests of subscribers who have, subscribed to those property, like what happened in the case of the Ikoyi four-score building. How do you think that we can balance the interest of the subscribers and the government?
Apart from looking at it from commercial perspectives, interest of the equity holders, subscribers, apart from that, even legality, I know that the government has the power to acquire property, but not on the basis that the property collapses. The government can acquire properties for overriding public purpose. They want to they go to the university, any public utilities, they will pay you compensation. But I don't think if it's challenged in court that they can sustain the argument. Even on the basis of a legislation, the constitution will come into place. Right to own property is my fundamental human rights. And the constitution has given the condition under which I can be denied that human right. Not because the engineers didn't do their job very well, government didn't do their job very well, and will now take over the land. Is it forever? Is it temporarily? For what purpose? I think if it's challenged in court, if it's properly interrogated, they don't have the power. They cannot confiscate that property. If it's purpose of you punish this person, yes, you issue CFO on that land. The CFO is subsisting. And then you want to take the land while the CFO is no, I don't think they can do that. Let us assume that okay, they have the power to take over. Who government takes it?
Yes.
that would be ridiculous.
And then it's
you want to turn the government to land grabber, more or less, because that's a way of grabbing land too. No, I don't think they should go that far. They can put stop order. They can say don't work on this property until this is done. Set a commission of inquiry. They look at after everything's done. You now goes back to the property, or it must be punished though. That's a different ball game. But to deny him the ownership of that land, I don't think it's legal. That's a debatable man.
Now, staying with this issue of land grabbers that you've just talked about, one issue why a lot of people run away from the building construction industry is this problem of land grabbers and the bottleneck in the perfection of title. Do you think that government is doing enough to tackle such issues?
That's an area I've worked so much in that area, even academically. So many factors contribute to this, what we call insecurity of title. Not only land grabbing. Land grabbing is colloquial language. It is insecurity of title to land in Lagos State. Let me just go to the solution. When Nigeria could not handle the issue of corruption, when police, let's be frank now, could not handle the issue of corruption, they set up ICPC. When they felt that police was inadequate in handling economic and financial crime, they set up EFCC. So it's clear now that we cannot handle the issue of insecurity of title. The only way to go about it, if you must establish a body, you must establish a body, call it land commission, land whatever, statutory, giving the powers you are giving EFCC, powers you are giving ICPC, and then they must have the enforcement units different from police. Totally different from police, because Omonle can compromise anybody. The land was 100 billion, 200 million. They buy you a brand new car of 50 million, civil servant on maybe salary of 200,000. A brand new car. He's human, they might be tempted. Set up a statutory body with the chairman, like chairman of EFCC, with officers with power to arrest, power to convict. Unless we have that, we are rubbing the problem on the head by Land Grabbers Commission. No, it doesn't work. I did majorly a commission set up by the law, having their own enforcement unit, having the power to arrest, having the power to prosecute without going to EFCC, without going to ICPC, without going to police, independently, and now make it a strict liability offense. 21 years, no option of fine. 21 years, no option of fine. If we find that because our regular courts are congested with cases, set up special court to deal with it. Not task force, not the one you have task force to do. Special court of the status of high court to be prepared by a judge, but assigned to handle, because it's killing. People are dying every day. Your life investment will gone. They will come to your house and put a dead body. From my research, I've done that extensively. I'm working on a book on that. Is set up a statutory body. Appoint a past judge, somebody who is credible, who is retired, must have retired, who is credible, who has a track record. Let him preside. Mr. No Nonsense person, let him preside. They give him the unit to enforce. Give them the statutory powers.
And fund them properly.
They used to fund the FCC a lot, so they must fund these people. This one is even more than corruption. So they kill. Of course, corruption kills too, but this one they kill physically. They kill physically. People lose their inheritance, get their hands cut. No, it's horrible. I'm involved. I see all these things every day. Go to the police, you go to the FCC, it doesn't work. Go to the police, it doesn't work. As a matter of fact, there should be a proviso that such matter should not be referred to the police. Any criminal matters arising from land dispute should go to that commission. They should not go near the police at all. Let police, it's enormous. Let police help us to deal with normal crime. EFCC, you deal with economic crime. You deal with corruption. This one deals with land, and any questions arising from dispute, if it's civil, if it's criminal, then the punishment to serve as deterrence, strict liability. 21 years imprisonment, no option of fine. If life is involved.
Welcome back. There's an indication that the judicial strike action embarked on by the judicial workers in Abia State is likely to be called off soon, as the government says it's addressing one of their major demands. This was disclosed at the swearing-in ceremony of the substantive chief judge of the state, Justice Liliana Bai. We have details in this next report.
The hall is filled to its capacity at the swearing-in of the chief judge of Abia State. The alternate permanent secretary administered the oath of office and allegiance of the new chief judge.
That as chief judge of Abia State of Nigeria, I will discharge my duties and perform my functions honestly to the best.
Governor of the state, Mr. Okezie Ekpeazu, congratulated her on her new appointment and for her tenacity to rise to the zenith of her judicial career.
On behalf of government and people of Abia State, I wish to congratulate our new chief judge and thank all of you for finding time to witness this very important occasion today. During her stint as acting chief judge, all of us have started seeing signs of greater things to come in the judiciary. It is my prayer and my desire that her tenure will not only be successful but also add value to the judicial family in Abia State and indeed in Nigeria.
In her acceptance speech, the new Chief Judge, Honorable Justice Liliana Bai, pledged to abide by her oath of office as well as to work to uplift the judiciary through quick dispensation of justice.
I commend Your Excellency for ensuring that the process that led to my appointment was smooth and without rancor. I also wish to use this opportunity to appreciate the chairman and members of the National Judicial Council, the Abia State Judicial Service Commission, the Honorable Speaker and members of the Abia State House of Assembly, the Secretary to the Abia State Government, Barrister Chris Ezem, among others, for ensuring that the process leading to my appointment was stress-free. I thank and appreciate my brother judges, family, friends, and traditional rulers, and all those who have lent me their support and encouragement. Today marks a new chapter in the affairs of the Abia State Judiciary. As I assume office today as the Chief Judge of Abia State, I pledge to abide by my oath of office, to work to improve the lot of the judiciary and ensure the smooth administration of justice. With the cooperation of the Abia State government, my brother judges and the entire judiciary, we can make a difference. I'll do my best to ensure the speedy dispensation of justice in line with modern best practices. I ask for the cooperation and understanding of all, particularly the staff. I appeal to them to be patient. I know that a lot is expected from me, and I pledge to do my utmost to right any wrongs and improve their welfare, standing always for truth and justice, while calling on them to face their work with the zeal expected of them.
Let's now check out some of the top stories we tracked at the court.
The National Industrial Court sitting in Owerri, the Imo State capital, has issued an interim order restraining the Nigeria Labour Congress, the NLC, the Trade Union Congress, the TUC, or any of its agents or affiliates from embarking or continuing to embark on any strike action in the state, pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice for interlocutory injunction filed in the suit. Justice Nelson Ogbonaya also restrained the NLC and TUC or any of its affiliates from stopping, hindering, disrupting, or interfering in the provision of services and other work by their members in the civil and public service in Imo State, pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice for filed in the suit. Justice Ogbonnaya ordered the Imo State government to serve the originating summons, motions on notice and other processes in the suit on the defendants, along with the interim order granted by publication in any national newspaper circulating in Nigeria in the event that prompt service of court processes and the interim order cannot be effected on the trade unions as prescribed under Order 7 Rule 1 of the Rules of Court before the return date of further proceedings. The judge fixed May the 11th as the return date. In Lagos, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, has asked the Court of Appeal to declare the purported pardon granted to an Indian businessman Ashok Israini and 3 others by the Lagos State government unconstitutional, null and void. Addressing a special panel of the appellate courts during the hearing of the appeal filed by Israni and 2 officials of Keystone Bank, Anayon Wosu and Olajide Oshodi, the EFCC counsel, Mr. Rotimi Jacobs, SAN, submitted that there are plethora of legal authorities to show that pardon cannot be granted to convicts whose rights of appeal have not been exhausted. The EFCC counsel also urged the court to dismiss the appeal and uphold the judgment of the lower court. Counsel to the appellants, Chief Wale Olanipekun and Mr. Biodun Owonikoko, who also adopted their briefs of argument, urged the court to allow the appeal, set aside the judgment of the lower court, and acquaint all the appellants of all the charges filed against them. Chief Olanipekun particularly told the court that the appellants have filed an affidavit of facts which contain the instrument of the pardon granted to them by the Lagos State government, stating that it was the state that charged them to court and it was the state that granted them bail due to upsurge in COVID-19 cases. After hearing argument from parties, Justice Joseph Ike reserved the appeal for judgment. At the Federal High Court, Lagos, a former Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Honorable Adeyemi Kuforiji, who's standing trial on allegations of laundering over 338.8 million naira, has told Justice Mohammed Liman that the charge preferred against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, was politically motivated. While denying the money laundering allegation leveled against him by the Commission, says that as a 3-term Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, if he had indeed committed such an infraction, members of the House would have dealt with him by first impeaching him before handing him over to the law enforcement agency. Ikuforiji says as the head of the legislative arm of government, he doesn't handle cash or any disbursement of funds, as his role is merely to give final approval on any memo put before him, after the office of the clerk and that of the finance departments have done their bits. At the Magistrates Court sitting in the Sabo area of Yaba, Lagos, Chief Magistrate Peter Nwaka has granted bail to a leader of the Igbo community, the Eze Igbo of Ajao Estate, Frederick Nwajagu, aged 67, who was docked before it for allegedly threatening to bring the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, to the state. Chief Magistrate Nwaka granted the defendant bail in the sum of 1 million naira with 4 sureties, all of whom must be residents in Lagos. The court also ordered that one of the sureties must own a property in the state which must be registered with the Land Bureau and which documents must be deposited with the court.
The counsel for the defendant move an oral application for the bail of the defendant, that the defendant can be coming after the bail, and would object to that application by the provision of the ACJL 2015, which talks about remand of the defendant, the first instance, the second sub 6 of 264 of the ACJL. So we argued, and the court was of the view that the defendant needs to be granted bail, and he exercised his discretion to that effect by granting bail to the defendant.
The bail condition is vis-a-vis. It depends on the capacity of the defendant and his relation. But what matters is that the court in its competent jurisdiction had granted bail. The court acknowledged the fact that to wait upon or wait for the DPP's advice, not knowing when it will come, will be at variance with the provision of the Constitution, which is that by virtue of section 36 sub 1, that the defendant is entitled to fair hearing.
The court adjourned the case to June the 9th to await the legal advice of the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, on how to proceed. And we round off at the Lagos High Court, sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square, which has admitted in evidence 2 handwritten statements made by Chidinma Ojukwu, the key suspect in the murder of Chief Executive Officer of Super TV, Osifo Ataga. While ruling on a trial within trial to determine the voluntariness of the statement, Justice Yetunde Adesonya held that the prosecution proved beyond reasonable doubt that Chidinma made the statement willingly and without duress. Through her counsel, Mr. Mukaegu, the defendants had alleged that her statements were not voluntarily made, claiming she was slapped and forced to write the statement after it was written by the police officers whom she insisted tore her initial statement. In her ruling on the statement, however, Justice Adesonya said that the video tendered in court did not display any intimidation towards the defendant while she was writing her statement. Justice Adesonya had adjourned the case until May the 30th for continuation of trial.
And that's our program this week. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to catch the repeats on air or watch via our YouTube channel. I'm Shola Shieli. Thank you for watching and see you next week.